Hello, friends. I am Chevy. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's fantastic. I had some sound settings kind of screwed up on the camera, and I've been dealing with some very noisy background noise. So I just changed it. Hopefully, that means that you can hear this, and I didn't accidentally turn it off. So anyway, so I'm completely unprepared. Imagine that. It now almost never happens. Um, But somebody said something recently that sparked a topic idea, and I wanted to cover it, and I forget what it was. Um, oh, I think it was Chris asked about the new Star Wars trading card game that was announced. And I honestly wasn't aware that there was a Star Wars trading card game announced. I saw that there was a Star Wars game announced from FFG, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And that was as far as I went with it because they've released dozens of Star Wars games over the years, and most of them have been not really like we would get really excited for them and then try it and it was like, "Oh, this isn't good." But a Star Wars TCG, went and looked at it after Chris mentioned that, and it looks interesting to some degree, but I don't know that I'm going to play it. And the simple answer why is uh, Lorcana. Like Disney Lorcana is coming out next month, mass retail in September, and I will probably be playing that a lot. It looks amazing visually. The rules sound great. It sounds kind of like Keyforge, kind of like Magic 2.0. It kind of combines some of the issues that I have with original Magic the Gathering with some fixes that some later games brought into the system with and Disneyfies it, makes it like it's not about dealing damage to your opponent, it's about going on adventures and gaining adventure points for yourself. So it's instead of losing life, you're gaining you know adventure points or whatever. And so that sounds really interesting to me. Um, Very excited about that. So I will be playing that. However, I did play very competitively. Well, that's under debate. I played the original Star Wars CCG from Decipher for a long time. All of my friends played it. We played all of the sets. I had all of the big cards, all of the things that were super expensive. I had multiple copies of Vaders and Lukes and lightsabers and all that stuff. And I played a lot of tournaments. And I think that if I were to go through my rag box, I might be able to find some of the T-shirts that I won at that time. If you played back then, um, Decipher didn't really have a prize pool to speak of, uh, unless maybe at like national size tournaments. But regional tournaments, you would just get T-shirts, and this was like the only way you could get these T-shirts was to win. And I have, I think, two R2D2 shirts that I won, and R2D2 was my favorite, uh, and so I had a couple of those, and I think I still have them somewhere. I don't believe they're over there anymore. We went through my stuff and threw away most of that kind of weird, janky stuff from years past. I think the T-shirts are now in my rag pile, or I might have just completely tossed them. But we loved the Star Wars CCG. It was a very, very, very different game at that time when it came out. A couple of years after Magic the Gathering came out, it was just mind blowing how different it was. Because while there was, you know, just like when deck builders happen, so Dominion comes out, and then within 5 years, there's now 300 different deck builders. The same thing happened with CCGs at that time. Um, Magic came out, what, like 93, I think, maybe? I got here probably around 94, 95. So, like, it was past beta. Like, I don't think we bought beta packs here. I think I had to buy those online or something back then. We were getting revised edition. So whenever that came out is when I started really playing Magic. And then, Spellfire was the next big one. That was what it was called, right? Dungeon. It wasn't very good. And then there was a whole bunch of spin-offs like Battletech. The Battletech CCG, I absolutely loved it, but it was still basically just Magic. Um, and then Star Wars was like the first one that I encountered that was very, very different. It wasn't this head-to-head thing. I mean, it was, but it was different. It had this whole deck recycling, pile counting card thing going on that was really fun, and we played the heck out of that game. I liked the way that you built a light side deck and a dark side deck that made tournaments a little bit weird because you would play 2 games against your opponent, not 3, like a lot of the other games, a lot of the other CCG tournaments would go. So you were playing a light side and a dark side, so you had kind of 2 different rankings. So it was a very fun experience, and I played it a lot in Hawaii. We had in Hawaii we didn't have a huge following there. Magic the Gathering was still the king of the castle at that time. I mean, just huge tournaments. We would have like a weekend tournament, just every other weekend tournament or something that would get like hundreds of players. And so we did a lot of Magic the Gathering. But I did find Star Wars players. We would go to a Star Wars tournament and be like 20 players. And so after that, I played Young Jedi. I played what was the Jedi Knight? I think it was. There was another Jedi theme. I played the various other attempts at Star Wars TCGs and CCGs, and just none of them ever really stuck with me like the original did. I haven't actually looked at the rules of this one, but it looks interesting. I'm curious about it. I've always thought it would be fun to have. So I think it was the Lord of the Rings TCG, like the original that was based off the movies, not the original. What was that called? We played the heck out of that game too, and that was really fun. I don't remember what the name of that game was. It wasn't the Lord of the Rings. It was something else. The movie TCG. I actually won the One Ring. The very first tournament, they were giving out copies of the One Ring, and I won that. That game was really interesting because you played both. Like your deck was both light and dark, so you played cards against your opponent based on where they were and what they were doing. And I liked that system. I also very much enjoyed that in the X-Files trading card game, where like as an agent, when you play agent cards, I get like the ability to play. You give me more power to play my conspiracy cards or whatever they were called against you. And so I'm assuming, just from what I can tell, looking through the very brief look that I had at the TCG stuff, it seems like it's going to be like a combined deck. You're not playing a light side and dark side deck. You have those all kind of mixed together. And that sounds that's interesting to me. I will probably play the game. It'll be one of those games where I get a couple of packs of cards and just make a deck, and me and my friends will play it a couple of times and be like, well, that was interesting. But Lorcana, for sure. I think we're in this house, it'll get played a lot. I think Em and I will play it a whole lot. And we'll probably go to we'll probably play it with other people. I know a couple of my friends are planning on getting into it. So I think that'll be a staple for a while. But I haven't like truly played a collectible card game. 94, 93, somewhere around there was when I stopped playing CCGs. No, that's not technically true. I played the the Call of Cthulhu. That's right. I played Call of Cthulhu into the 2010s. A lot. Very heavily into that game. I was very heavily into that game. Loved that game. That was the last one that I played, and since then I haven't played any CCGs. They're like a lifestyle, I don't have time in my life to commit to a game like that. If you want to play competitively, that is, then you really need to put a lot of time and energy into it. I don't know that Malia and I are going to play competitively. We're definitely going to play competitively against each other, but I don't know that we're going to go to tournaments and stuff and try to make something of it. But I think we'll play it enough that I will be familiar with it, and I probably will. When I'm at a convention and there's a tournament, I'll probably enter it, that sort of thing. Because I do miss that competitive play. I don't miss the training for it. When I was heavily into Magic, when I was really trying, like I would spend weeks training, like literally playing games for hours and hours and hours a night, tuning, tweaking, trying new strategies with the way I play things out, just drawing hands. All right, how do I play this hand out? What's the best start for this? I don't want to do that anymore, but I do miss the competitive play. So What are you into these days? Do you play any CCGs? Do you have any intention of playing any? Are you going to play Lorcana? Are you going to Gen Con and could pick up some for me? I would do anything to get some Lorcana on the 18th. I don't think the local store here is going to be able to save any for me, but I think I'm gonna have to wait until the September release. But I would really love to have some Lorcana. So, got anything going on this weekend? I don't. Board games, pickleball, kids. That's about it. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends, wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know to sound smart is repose. It is a noun meaning to be in a position or state of rest. The wholesome relief, repose, content. And this bunch plucked at random from myself, it has done its work. I tossed it carelessly to a fall where it may. Walt Whitman, an American poet and humanist. Repose. R-E-P-O-Z-E. I really don't like it when they include Walt in here. Like, I get it. Like, I get Walt Whitman and the love for him. But, like, putting one stanza of his poetry doesn't work for me.